Fede Álvarez's Alien Romulus is not too far away from being released in theatres, and in the years since its official announcement and the release of trailers in the previous months, my anticipation for it has only gone up. Everything we've heard about the film, whether it be a return to the sci-fi horror of Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens, it being set in between those two iconic movies, and the focus on a new younger cast, makes me feel like this has the potential to return the franchise to its former glory. So in this video essay, I'm going to be discussing why Alien Romulus has the potential to revive the franchise, and what I think about everything we've seen of it thus far, from the filmmaking to the storytelling elements involved. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming movie releases like Alien Romulus, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like, rating, and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into whether Alien Romulus can revive the franchise. So Alien Romulus got a new full-length trailer last week, and it revealed a closer look at the terrifying xenomorphs, the facehuggers, and the new human characters in Fede Álvarez's latest horror. Drawing inspiration from the original Alien and Aliens, the new installment promises to deliver the same heart-pounding thrills that fans have come to love. The director behind Don't Breathe and Evil Dead is mostly seen as a perfect match to revive the franchise and bring it back to its successful glory. And known for his mastery in the horror genre, Alvarez's unique vision will undoubtedly inject those spine-chilling screams back into the Alien universe. If we think back to what he did with Evil Dead, a nightmarish and visually disturbing take on Sam Raimi's iconic series, we know that he has a knack for transforming franchises into pure horror experiences. His talent lies in maximising the fear within confined spaces and delivering in-your-face horror visuals, which perfectly aligns with the essence of Alien Romulus. The glimpses we saw in the trailer of tight quarters and dimly lit hallways only amplify the atmospheric distress that Alvarez excels at portraying. While some filmmakers can follow a template and execute a project as instructed, the Alien franchise has always been about pushing boundaries and delivering unforgettable experiences on the big screen. So with Alvarez at the helm, Romulus will aim to be something that adds to the franchise while getting us back to what we loved about it. While certain films in the series haven't been as successful as others, that's one thing I can mostly say about it as a whole. James Cameron's Aliens took a militaristic approach to xenomorph combat. David Fincher's Alien 3 delves into dark and broody oddball territory, and OG Ridley Scott explored the true horror at the centre and then expanded upon the xenomorph lore with the high fantasy in Prometheus and Covenant. And again, whatever you think about some of these films, none of them tried to play it safe, and I think Alvarez will have to do the same while simultaneously making his movie work between both the iconic films that it is set in between. This brings me to the story details surrounding Romulus, which at this moment in time seem quite limited. However, what we do know about it is that it's focusing on a brave crew that ventures into a desolate space station called the Renaissance only to encounter the xenomorph. Interestingly, several characters in the story share a sibling-like bond, either by blood or as surrogate siblings. Set in the year 2142, it's nestled between Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens. It unfolds before the events of Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, and it's set after the prequel films in Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Fans will recall the original period when Ripley, the resilient survivor of the Nostromo, found herself adrift in the vastness of deep space, trapped in hypersleep after her crew fell victim to the alien. However, before their demise, the crew uncovered a sinister plot orchestrated by the Weyland Corporation. Their true purpose was to harness the alien as a deadly biological weapon, and to ensure their success, they had secretly placed the treacherous android Ash on board the Nostromo. Now the question remains, will the Alien Romulus ensemble become the bait to capture the creature after the original plan took an unexpected turn? Reportedly, director Alvarez conceived the concept for his Alien film several years ago and discussed it with Ridley Scott. However, it wasn't until 2021 that Scott reached out to the horror filmmaker and officially offered to collaborate on the project. Soon after, 20th Century Studios decided to proceed with his pitch, and according to the studio's boss, Alvarez's pitch was described as an exceptional narrative featuring a diverse cast of characters unlike any seen before. The director also revealed that a particular scene in the Alien Special Edition sparked the intriguing idea in his mind, serving as the foundation. He pondered on the concept of young colonists raised in a Wayland colony and how their experiences would shape their journey. Interestingly, the 6 scavengers we are familiar with are embarking on a daring mission to pilfer resources from the deserted Wayland Romulus station, and these individuals are actually young adults who grew up in a Wayland colony. So this revelation not only connects to the original inspiration on Alvarez's part, but it adds depth to their characters, and it also sheds light on how they acquired knowledge about the abandoned station and its location. On the surface, the story provides room for some interesting twists, and it also allows Alvarez to incorporate the best of both when it comes to those first 2 iconic movies. And that brings me to the point that I think excites me the most about Romulus, being both a brave yet familiar approach from the creative team at the same time. At first, it was uncertain whether Romulus would draw more inspiration from Alien, a space-based horror movie, or Aliens, a space-based action movie. Both Ridley Scott's original Xenomorph adventure and James Cameron's exceptional sequel are considered among the greatest sci-fi films ever made, each with a strong claim to being the best on their own merits. The Romulus trailer alone evokes the atmosphere of Scott's original masterpiece with its skillfully dim lighting, suspenseful shots of amber-lit corridors, and a distinct biometrical aesthetic influenced by Alien's designer H.R. Giger. However, director Fede Álvarez has revealed in recent interviews that Romulus will pay homage to both films, combining the sci-fi action focus of Aliens with the terrifying horror of Alien. He said in an interview, "To ask an Alien fan to choose between them is a perverse question, so I thought, how do I do both? There's a moment where the characters are walking around areas familiar from the Nostromo. Then they cross through the building and onto the other side. You're in a hallway that looks like Hadley's Hope from Aliens." So this idea of infusing the tone and look of both movies into the setting of the piece is what it looks like the filmmaker is going for. And based on what was said about the other production areas, it seems like that approach is being expanded a bit further. It was described by the director in other interviews that the film features technology reminiscent of Alien, yet the technology of Aliens is also in there and is portrayed as more cutting edge. He also said that the first hour of the movie captures the suspenseful vibe of Alien, while the second hour shifts towards the more action-packed style of Aliens. Furthermore, Alvarez brought in the practical effects team from James Cameron's Aliens, known for their exceptional creature design, with the Alien Queen towards the end of that iconic movie being a known example of their work. He said, "For the creatures, we brought in all the guys from Aliens. They were in their early 20s when they made that film, and they were a part of Stan Winston's special effects team. And now we had them at the top of their game. They have their own shops, and so we brought them all together to work on all the creatures because we went with all animatronics and puppets at every level. I even got the chance to be under the table with them, puppeteering all these animatronics. When it comes to face-to-face encounters and moments with creatures, nothing beats the real thing." And I couldn't agree more with what he said on that, because what made those original movies so special was both the build-up of suspense and then the reveal of these practical effects which leave their mark. Having the director focus on capturing real things in frame is a great thing to hear, especially in an era where movies are being made using so much digital VFX. And I'm not saying I'm against that, because it has been done well at times in recent years too. But there are many examples of it not looking up to scratch and enormous amounts of money being spent on that process. So when you build things for real and film in well-designed sets and locations, it can bring more authenticity to the image. So overall, Alien Romulus could be successfully returning to the franchise's roots and a clear focus narratively on the struggle for survival. The film comes after Ridley Scott's ambitious yet flawed duo of Prometheus and Covenant, and it must be acknowledged that the series hasn't been performing exceptionally well since Ridley Scott and James Cameron's back-to-back hits. I think Romulus has the potential to alter that trajectory by offering a fresher outlook, introducing new characters and settings, yet preserving its essence. It's being marked as a film that's all about raw grit and nail-biting tension, rather than lofty themes and grandstanding spectacle. Hopefully it can revive the franchise, bringing back the appeal of the series that once was there. It will be a tough task to make the film a success after Covenant, but if the quality is there, then in the long run it could signal a profitable return. But that was my video on the potential of Alien Romulus. Everything we've seen thus far, from the sci-fi horror tone to the practical effects being used and the storytelling potential of its setting, makes me think that this could be a return to what we loved about Alien. It's certainly up against a lot, and after the failure of Alien Covenant, it will need to be a great film that also succeeds at the box office to get people interested in the future of the franchise. We'll have to see, but I think multiple elements combined make Alien Romulus a film that can bring the franchise back to its great days if it's all delivered on. But let me know down below in the comment section if you are personally excited for Alien Romulus, alongside whether you are hopeful that the film could revive the series on the big screen. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Alien Romulus, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.